And here we are continuing the book. Chapter 9, Physically Feeling in the Spirit. I just want to take a moment and really reach out to thank you, the reader, for spending time reading this book. There is so much content thus far and more to come. And I just really would like to tell you that I appreciate you and thank you for being so cool. Alrighty then, let's keep going strong. In this chapter, I would like to talk about experiences and how the application to actual, what? I need to fix that. I would like to talk about experiences and how to use the application of actually feeling with your physical hands inside the spiritual realm. I am talking placing your hand in midair and waving it back and forth within a certain state of mind to be able to physically feel in the spirit. When I first discovered this, it was totally by accident. I was camping with some friends, and it was nighttime, and I was standing in front of a fire pit warming my hands since it was starting to get a bit chilly out. As I was doing this, I felt a very strange sensation on my hands. It was almost like I could feel a sense of water in the air. I was able to move my arms and hands around and just feel the thickness of the air all around me. I could even trace out patterns of movement. For example, if I was to brush my hands, palms facing down, out in front of me in a slow sweeping motion to the right or left, I could literally feel bumps and crevices within this new experience of being able to feel. At this time, I had no idea it was the spirit realm. But I definitely knew it was not normal. Who normally puts their hands in the air and feels thick, watery resistance while moving them? Normally, the air just gives and allows your hands to freely move around. Unless, of course, you're going really fast and there's a ton of resistance in the air. Or if the wind is blowing, there's a lot of resistance with that as well. But see, this was a very calm night. There may have been very faint gusts of wind, but only to where I could barely feel it brush across my skin. Now that I know more about what this is, I have changed my belief into thinking it was not discovered by accident, but was instead highly likely a sovereign act by God to unlock and begin my training from this standpoint. Because he knew at that time, and even before that, I would write about it so that others could learn and benefit from it and have lots of fun while doing it, all the while glorifying our wonderful Father in heaven. Okay, so let's dive into the application of how you can feel this watery sensation. First of all, stand up where you are and stretch out your arms and face both of your palms the same direction. Like this. For now, either left or right, but not up or down. Slowly move your arms through the air and feel with your palms. As you do this, see if you can notice any sensations of tingling, buzzing, or magnetism. Okay, that exercise probably did not work anywhere near as well as this next one will. So do the same thing, but this time, imagine that you're standing underwater and try to remember what it feels like to move your arms through that water with your hands cupped. You can feel that resistance as you try to, with increased strength, move your arms in the water. Now, for practicing this exercise, you do not need to cup your hands. Instead, I would recommend giving just enough muscle control to lift and move them, but relax everything else as much as you can. Now, as you are slowly moving your arms and hands back and forth, try to pay attention to what you are feeling on your hands. If your focus is on shopping for groceries or thinking about how this is not going to work, it will redirect away from you being able to feel it, because it is important for your thought to be focused upon what you are trying to feel for. So remember, chapter 2 had some nuggets on getting into the place of rest, taking thoughts captive, so that you are free to be able to concentrate in this way. So I want to give a word of encouragement really quick before we continue on more experiences and application. After some practice of applying these techniques, it merged from the requirement of having to focus on it to the point where I could think a single thought and it would all turn on. I think it is like anything else, like driving a stick shift, for example. You have to learn to look at the traffic, work the steering wheel, shift the shifter, work the pedals, use the signals, text on your phone while eating a taco. LOL, just kidding. But you get the point. Once you learn how to do something, it moves into a state of being able to automatically apply it to where you can automatically apply it without having to think. It becomes second nature, and repetition places it in, and repetition, it places it into your muscle memory. Each time you get something down, it only takes a single thought to turn it right back on. The delay for it to turn on is almost always instant, but can sometimes take a few seconds. Overcoming doubt by redirecting the location of your thoughts. Okay, so your mind can only normally think one thing at a time. So if you are trying to do these practices, yet you are having a hard time focusing with your thoughts elsewhere, it will probably not work for you. For example, if you are doubting it will work, then that means your thoughts are on your doubt and not on the actual exercise. For example, when you are trying to feel for a ball of energy between your hands, you need to be thinking about that energy ball between your hands in order to feel it. If you are attempting to feel for it, yet your thoughts are thinking it is not going to work, then you won't feel it because your thoughts are directed toward doubt and not between your hands. So to feel, you need to be present in the moment at the location you are trying to feel at. If your focus is honed in with minimal distractions, you will most certainly develop the ability to feel in the spirit. Also, don't forget to ask Jesus too. He made this stuff, and you can just take hold by faith of what he has already freely given you. So just say, okay, Lord, I would like to experience this. Now I'm going to take hold of it by faith. Okay, on to the fun, clapping. Okay, for this first exercise, clap your hands together 10 times, then briskly rub them together to generate a lot of heat. Once your hands are hot, begin to slowly pull them away from each other so that you can feel a very distinct tingling sensation. This tingling sensation is close to the exact same as the feeling of when a part of your body falls asleep. Like if you lay on your arm or leg or too long, it starts to tingle since your blood is all flowing to that spot. If you can feel that tingling, congratulations. You've just passed the first phase of being able to feel in the spirit. Feel for the magnetism. Here's a quick lesson on magnetism. Each magnet has both a south and a north pole. If opposite poles are pointed toward each other, they will attract and connect to each other. However, if like poles are pointed toward each other, they will repel one another. In this exercise, I would like you to think of your left hand as negative and your right hand as positive. Okay, so let's try this experiment. Start by facing both of your hands toward each other just in front of you so that your arms are slightly bent. So just like this. The idea is to get into a relaxed and comfortable position. Okay, now slightly bend your fingers back on both hands away from the other hands so that we can ensure your fingers do not touch each other. The reason why is because it is an added sensation that can distract you from fully engaging this practice. Next, place your palms very, very close to each other, but do not touch them together. So we're talking like seriously this close, just like almost right there. Now this is important. Think about the space between your hands as an invisible magnet that has its polarity in such a way that it resists your hands. Remember, imagine your left hand is negative and your right hand is positive. Like poles repel each other, and that is the sensation we desire to have. So imagine an invisible magnet is between your hands so that its left side is negative and its right side is positive. The end result will be your negative left hand repelling the negative pole of the left side of the magnet. And likewise with your right hand and the right side of the magnet. Okay, so your palms are in very close proximity to each other. Now begin to only focus on the sensation of both of your hands repelling this invisible magnet. As you slowly move them toward and away from each other, keep moving them back and forth until you can feel this expected magnetic resistance. I can feel it right now. Roll and squish the clay ball. All right, let's keep your hands in the position and bring your palms to close proximity, but still not touching. This time I would like you to imagine a piece of actual clay between your palms. This clay has already been shaped in the form of a ball, and now you can play with this clay ball by slowly rolling your palms around it. It is just exactly like having a physical piece of clay between your hands. Seriously, it's so strange. I can feel it right now. And using that rolling motion, you can shape it into a perfect ball. Now, I kid you not, you will actually physically feel this clay ball between your palms. Once you can feel it, you can start doing the feel for the magnetism practice, which will allow you to literally squish the imaginary clay ball. Not so imaginary now, is it? You just used your imagination to create a clay ball and actually manifested it within the spirit realm for your hands to be able to feel it. So you just go like this, and you just kind of press in on it, and you can feel it resist and stretch. It actually stretches like taffy too. So what does this mean then? Well, it means you have learned to tune your hands into one of the infinite frequencies of the spiritual realm. Right now you are on the scale of touch within the spirit. And it also means that the very instant you think of a thought in your mind, it actually manifests for real in the spiritual realm. So be careful what you think about, because as Dr. Bruce Allen says in his book, Gazing into Glory, what you focus on, you will connect with. And once a connection is established, activation will take place. Now, I highly recommend anybody who desires to know Jesus from an off-the-charts depth and to feast upon some incredible, wonderful experiences that Dr. Bruce has had, I highly recommend that you take a look at his book. Seriously, I would put this book down and start reading that one. All of his books are so awesome, and all of Michael Van Blyman's books are likewise incredibly awesome. The full enchilada of awesome direct experiences with the Lord are found in their books. And just by reading and applying the principles in their books, there have been some who have been caught up to the third heaven. Bonus. Here's an added bonus for you to try with this type of exercise. Imagine something else between your hands, perhaps a basketball, and try to grasp it. Trust me, you can. You could start out with a small clay ball and physically feel it grow in size as you imagine it to do so, while you are doing the magnetic pressing toward and away from the ball. It is so cool because you can imagine anything, and whatever it is you are imagining will indeed manifest. Scotch tape. You guys are probably like, now what is he talking about? LOL, and rightly so. Okay, so when you come to the point of being able to feel in the spirit, you will be able to sense what feels like a thick glove around your hand. When this takes place, you can slowly curl your stretched fingers down like halfway into a fist. And during this movement, to me, it feels like the exact feeling, only a bit more subtle, of the likeness of Scotch tape being peeled off of the back of my fingers. It is so strange and feels like it is pulling up off of the hairs on the back of my fingers. Not in a painful way either, just a sensation of this type of likeness. And I just felt it when I was doing this. So brushing to activate feeling spiritual movement within your physical body. In this exercise, place your palms facing toward each other. This time, touch your fingertips together. Hold on. Once your fingertips are connected, slowly and lightly brush the fingertips of your right hand down while your left hand stays in position. Brush the fingertips all the way down to the base of your palm, where your wrist meets. As you do this, only focus on the feeling of your left hand. Do not at all think about the feeling of your brushing fingertips on your right hand. As you continue brushing, try to memorize the feeling of that brushing that you are currently feeling on your left hand. Once you feel you have it memorized, continue this brushing up and down, but slowly pull your right fingertips away about a half an inch. But make sure you continue the brushing motion. As you do this, try to recall the feeling you memorized in your left hand. And if you feel a tingling, buzzing, cool, or heated sensation moving up and down your hand, even though you are not physically touching it, you have come to a breakthrough of being able to sense the movement of the spirit within your physical body. At this phase, you can move your fingers even further away. So strange. Or you could even completely drop your right hand down, and yet still with your mind move this feeling through your hand. You can do this technique with literally any part of your body. You might ask, how does this technique glorify God? It glorifies Him because being able to feel the Spirit inside of you allows you to gain a greater awareness of your Spirit's ability to move. And it also allows you to be able to feel when God's power is flowing through you as well. There are many different applications for this. Another cool application to this is what I said earlier about having a physical feeling of love moving down from your throat to your chest to your stomach and heating up. It is this actual practice that makes that feeling possible. You can do this by imagining God's love flowing down through you like a golden waterfall, and you will be able to physically feel this wonderfully soothing movement. Downward pressure that triggers spring-like resistance. Okay, so try to now hold your hands out in front of you, elbows slightly bent and comfortable, with your palms facing down, just like this. Imagine there is a pedestal made of water underneath them, and at the top of the pedestal has a magnetic resistance. Now release some of your muscle control to a very relaxed state and try to feel for this resistance by slowly pressing your palms down palms down. Sorry, I'm going into the zone and I'm losing focus on speaking. Okay, I need to stay focused on speaking. By slowly pressing your palms down, and as a result, the magnetic resistance of the water pedestal will literally spring your hands back up. So you have them out here. You just slowly release your muscle control, and they will literally stay in midair. And as they're in midair, you can feel the springy motion pushing up on them. Arms suspended in midair. So with some practice of perfecting these techniques, I have been able to lift up my arms in front of me with my palms facing down, and with a single change of thought, I can, in a way, call back the physical sensation of the watery atmosphere to the point of being able to quite literally release all muscle control, while both my arms are still suspended in midair, just resting on the thickness of this air. When I learned this, I was wondering from God how He could use such a practice to be glorifying to Him. And it was soon after that He introduced me to the incredible beauty of dancing in the Spirit. Dancing in the Spirit. While I am worshiping, I can release all muscle control of my arms, and they will begin moving in a beautiful, what feels like angelic movement in perfect synchronization and fluidity. I will try to explain how they move. I start with both hands to my side, palms facing in, totally relaxed. Now, depending on the spiritual atmosphere, especially if the presence of God is not thick within the room, it will determine if I need to, at first, use strength within my physical arms and hands while simultaneously feeling the heaviness in the spirit realm on my hands. To begin to lift up that heaviness, I would then face my palms out and slowly begin to raise up my hands, or raise up my arms with palms now facing up, with my elbows slightly bent. During the time it takes to move my arms to a position where my hands are stretched out above my head, to the left and to the right, with my elbows locked. I can feel a pressure of heaviness. I can feel it right now. I can feel a pressure of heaviness trying to resist, staying in the atmosphere, but to no avail. The light of the Lord begins to fill the room. I see this within my mind's eye as it is taking place. Then from the position my arms are in, I allow them to slowly drift down at a diagonal angle. It's like this. At a diagonal angle as my elbows bend and my hands are now facing each other. They end up parallel, about 6 inches apart, directly in front of my neck and chest. At this time, my hands feel like they are in thick water as they drift down in the same position. Wow, this is crazy. It's really, really neat. It's just different, really, really cool stuff. At this time, my hands feel like they are in thick water as they drift down in the same position, super relaxed until my palms naturally begin to both face down until they return to the original position of resting on both sides of my legs. I repeat this procedure until there is no heaviness in the room when my palms are going up. So it'll come to the point where I won't be pushing up on anything. It'll be so light when the glory is heavy. So during worship, when the presence of the Lord gets stronger and stronger, it comes to the point where these exact movements take place, but they get more fluid and sometimes faster. If the presence of the Lord increases a bit within the room, then as my hands finish drifting down to my waist with palms down, I do not actually even need to turn my palms up any longer, because what happens is the power of the presence of God actually springs both of my arms up with palms facing down all the way up to shoulder width. So they start here and they go boom, super fast. It is during this type of motion that my arms begin to move by themselves with no effort at all, at least up to this point. There is absolutely no muscle control at all for both my arms to spring up from my hips to shoulders, stretched out with palms down. So when in this state, I switch to muscle control by twisting my wrists so my palms are facing up again. And then, so I'm here, and then I go like this. I lift up the glory and begin to enter the next phase of the routine. The next phase is as my palms are now facing up, my arms with elbows locked at shoulder width will then begin to rise up toward each other and do one of two things. They will either stop parallel to each other and drift down, or they will continue to intersect. So they'll either go here and drift down, or they'll come here, intersect each other, almost like I am now hugging myself as my palms face down. And while still hugging, I turn my wrists. Oh yeah, they're like this. I turn my wrists so my palms are facing up. And at this point, I can feel a release of an explosion of glory as my arms glide up and out, away from each other to the point where they end up shoulder width, palms down. From this point, they either drift down to my side or turn back over again and repeat the hugging motion. Now, when the glory in the room gets really powerful, my arms from the original position will spring all the way up past my shoulders, all the way above my head. So they'll be down like this, and they'll go boom, all the way up here. Where did I go? Now, when the glory in the room gets really powerful, my arms from the original position will spring all the way up past my shoulders, all the way above my head, but they are so relaxed that they just begin to slowly drift down. And right when they hit the bottom, they shoot back up again. So in essence, this is one of the ways God has blessed me to be able to engage in worshiping Him. And I believe that you also will likewise be released to worship your loving Lord Jesus in this way, with your own feelings and movements from the Holy Spirit. Blessings from the ability to externally and internally feel in the Spirit. So the ability to externally feel in the Spirit will allow you to dance in the Spirit, and the ability to feel inwardly allows you to be able to experience the movements of anointing that the Lord chooses to pour into you, as well as his power flowing out of you. And this is just a couple of the benefits, but there are an infinite amount of various blessings that come along with it. Okay. This is the end of this chapter, and so I will be back in just a few moments to read the one on angels.